champions, I welcome you all to score 99% in 99 days. Today is day 36 and today we are going to do previous year questions from the chapter that is control and coordination. So let's get started without even wasting a single bit of our time. So over here the first question says, in plants the role of cytokinin is. What is the role of cytokinin? What is cytokinin? Cytokinin is a plant hormone, my dear children, and if you divide the term that is cyto and kinin, we will come up with this. Cyto means cell and kinin means division. So cytokinin is basically that hormone that will be promoting cell division, my dear children, and with that we get 1 mark. So it does not help in wilting of leaves, no. Promoting the opening of stomatal pore, no. Help in the growth of stem, no. Okay, cool. Next one. Sensory nerve of a reflex arc carries information from the receptor cells too. What do you mean by sensory nerve? Well, basically, for example, there's a hot pan. If I touch a hot pan, I am able to sense it because of something that is known as receptors. Now, these receptors are going to send a signal to a sensory neuron, or basically, the sensory neuron is activated and the sensory neuron will be telling our spinal cord that, hey, something like this has happened. Now, inside the spinal cord, we have a set of neuron which is known as relay neuron, or you also call it interneuron. And from this neuron, which is there in the spinal cord, the signal is sent to a motor neuron. From the motor neuron, a signal is sent to the effector organ, which could be a muscle. And that's how. And if, for example, the signal is sent over here to the muscle cell and we would be contracting our muscles, and hence we are able to move away our hands from the hot pan. So sensory nerves of a reflex arc carries information from the receptors to what, children? The spinal cord. Isn't it sent to the brain also? The information is sent to the brain, but the reflex action is done with the help of the spinal cord itself. Because if you are going to involve brain over here, that means you are going to involve thinking. Suppose I am thinking I am touching a hot pan. Oh, I should be thinking and reacting. Then it might take a long time and I might end up burning my fingers, which obviously I do not want. So this becomes the answer. This is the first answer. Sorry, this is the second answer and you get 1 mark out of it. Now, walking in a straight line, riding a bicycle are the activities which are possible due to the part of the brain. Choose the correct location and name of this part of the brain. So basically, walking in a straight line, that means we are talking about balance, okay, or basically riding a bicycle, again balance, and you are able to maintain the balance in your body with the help of a very important component which is known as cerebellum, component of your brain, or basically a part of your brain which is known as cerebellum. How do I remember it always? The L make me think about the posture, like straight, always straight. So cerebellum is there for the posture, for the balance and things like that, and it is the part of your hind brain, or basically hind brain. So hind brain and cerebellum is the answer for this particular question. Easy. Question number 3, getting 1 mark again. Now, name the part of the brain. This is a 2-marker question, okay. Name the part of the brain which is responsible for the following action. Maintaining posture and balance, you just studied it right now. It is what? Cerebellum. Now, beating of heart is controlled by another part of your hind brain which is known as medulla oblongata. What is it, children? Medulla oblongata. Now, thinking is a very important function and we do most of the times, right? So thinking is done by the most biggest part of our brain, okay, and it is known as cerebrum. Do not get confused with cerebellum and cerebrum. Cerebrum is the noodly thing that you see in the brain. This thing that we made, no, always. This is the cerebrum, the largest part of the brain, and this is the part of the forebrain, my dear children. So forebrain has 3 very important parts: cerebrum, thalamus and hypothalamus. Now, blood pressure. Blood pressure is again controlled by the medulla oblongata itself, or basically pons also. If you're talking, we can just say it's midbrain, sorry. You can just say it's hind brain that controls things because it's a part of it. But let's see the answer over here. So we have cerebellum, then medulla, then cerebrum, then medulla again. If you want, you can write hind brain, but it will be really good to put it in the bracket. Write medulla first and then put this in the bracket. So your involuntary actions like swallowing or vomiting or basically breathing, everything is controlled by medulla oblongata, which is known as the respiratory center or basically the breathing center of the body. It controls the rate of your breath and everything, your heartbeats, everything. Cool? Next question. Name the hormone secreted in scary situations by animals. Write any 3 responses which enables the animal body to deal with it. So when we are scared, our body releases something which is released by the gland that is known as adrenal gland, which is right there at the top of our kidney. So we have a pair of it and it is present at the top of our kidney. What is it, children? It is adrenal gland and it releases 2 hormones, that is adrenaline and noradrenaline. Okay, and how does it help? What are the 3 responses it does? It increases our blood pressure or basically increases our heart rate. Why do you think a heart rate increase is a good thing? Because when the heart basically pumps blood, it pumps first, that means it is pumping more and more blood, and we are actually in a requirement of this. Why? Because this blood which is being pumped has more amount of oxygen, and with the help of oxygen only we make energy in the process of respiration, cellular respiration. So we actually need oxygen. For that, the blood has to get pumped through all the parts of the body where the energy has to be made. So that is why increase of our heart rate is kind of very important. Next thing, dilation of our pupil. Dilation of our pupil. So when we are scared, if you have seen, we go like this. Why? Because when your pupils are dilated, that's when more amount of lights get in and you would be able to see things much more clearly. So that is one big reason. Dilation of pupil is there. Then you have some more other things. Okay, for example, vasoconstriction and vasodilation. Vasoconstriction. Okay, spelling of it is wrong over here. Just a second. You have vasoconstriction and vasodilation. What do you mean by that? For example, it's your stomach. And this is your muscle cell. As of now, the blood vessels which are going to the stomach, I don't need them to have enough amount of blood. I want them to have blood but not too much. Instead, I want the blood which is over here in the muscle cells to have more. Basically, I want my muscle cells to have more blood. So what do? The blood vessels which are over here, if I constrict them, if I make them narrower, and if I make this particular blood vessel kind of expanded, dilated, then I am basically redirecting my blood towards this area where it is needed in more amount. So we need vasoconstriction and vasodilation in a very important manner. So there are 3 things. Apart from this, there could be many other things which might be written over here. Let's see the answer. So adrenaline or epinephrine, or basically is the same name, okay? Adrenaline, or it is known as epinephrine, or you have noradrenaline or norepinephrine over here. So 3 responses: increased heart rate. So adrenaline increases heart rate, enabling the animal to pump more blood and oxygen to muscles. This helps the animal to react quickly to the perceived danger. Next, dilated pupils. Adrenaline causes pupils to dilate, which helps the animals to see more clearly in low light conditions as well. Increased blood sugar. Yeah, this is also one thing. Adrenaline increases the release of glucose from the liver, because the liver has what? Liver has the glucose stored in the form of glycogen. So now this glycogen can be broken down into glucose back, because we need energy also, right? So with a quick source of energy, this helps the animal to perform the physical activities required. So when I said oxygen is required for giving out energy, along with oxygen, what is getting oxygenated, guys? Sorry, what is the process that is happening over here? The glucose molecules that you see, it is oxidized to produce energy in the form of ATP. For that you need oxygen, so you need glucose also. That glucose you can get from the liver, because liver have it stored in the form of glycogen. Works? Sure. Next question. Name a plant hormone responsible for ending of a shoot. When bending of a shoot, not ending of a shoot, bending of a shoot, when it is exposed to unidirectional light, how does it promote phototropism? Basically, what is a hormone that will be responsible for bending of a shoot? So the shoot is like this initially, and there is light over here. This part of the shoot is receiving enough light, but what about this side? It is not receiving enough light, so it has to basically bend towards that to receive light. So who is responsible for this? The hormone that is responsible for this is known as auxin, my dear children. So auxin is generally uniformly distributed like this throughout the tip. Now what happens? The area which does not have the sun's rays falling on it, it will be having too much amount of auxin. So for example, this was the side. So all the auxin molecules will be moving towards this side. Now whenever auxin is in more concentration over one side, what happens is that they will lead to cell elongation. It would lead to cell elongation, my dear children. So on one side you see cell is elongated, whereas on the other side where auxin is less, the cells are still the same. So what is basically happening, if you have noticed, they have moved or basically bended towards one side because you see unequal growth. Because you see unequal growth, which is why it bends. Now what happens if it bends? It is receiving enough sunlight from this side also. So this is done by auxin. And how can you frame the answer? How does it help in phototropism? Phototropism is basically movement in response to what? Light. So auxin is a plant growth hormone that is synthesized at the shoot tip, which is responsible for bending of the shoot of the plant when it is exposed to unidirectional light, as in one direction the light is coming. Now when the growing parts of a phototropic plant detect sunlight, auxins help the cells grow longer. When the light falls on one side, that is this side, the auxins generally diffuse towards the shaded side. That means the side that does not receive amount of sunlight. This stimulates the cells in the shaded area to grow longer than the corresponding cells of the illuminated region. That is the region which is in contact with the light. This results in the curvature of the plant stem towards the light. So this is how you can write it. This is how you can draw it as well. So make a proper drawing, not like this. In the conceptual video I have made some, so you just watch that. Now one very important thing, if you are someone who is very much confused about what you should be doing after your 10th standard, then here we are for you. We have Diksha's Scholastic Aptitude Test. Children, you can take it. It will be really helpful for you to decide better career options. So the link to it is given in the description box, and if you want more information, I'll be talking about it at the end of the video as well. Chalo. Question number 7. With the help of an example, explain how does feedback mechanism regulate the hormone secretion. What do you mean by feedback mechanism? For example, if in our body glucose is high, that's when a hormone is being released, that is insulin. Now, its secretion would be increased way too much. But on the other hand, if glucose is less, at this point of time, insulin would be produced less. So this is a feedback mechanism. If something is there, you're making more of it. This is a positive. When something is not there, you don't want secretion. It is negative feedback. So over here we have a perfect answer for this. Feedback mechanism is the mechanism in our body to maintain the hormonal levels in the body in desirable amount. An increase or decrease in the hormonal level in our body triggers the feedback mechanism. For example, the increase in the blood sugar level stimulates the secretion of what? Insulin, so that the sugar level is maintained. Yes, so there is suppose too much amount of blood sugar, that is glucose. At this point of time, insulin is also released in more amount. Now, if the blood sugar level falls below normal, then it stimulates secretion of glucagon. Now, on the other hand, if the blood sugar level which is there, if it is too less, who becomes active? The next hormone, that is what? Glucagon. Why do you need glucagon? Because glucagon is the one that will be converting glycogen to glucose. So that means you are providing enough amount of blood sugar. Over here, insulin does what? Captures all the glucose and converts it to glycogen. So that's the ulta thing. Now, glucagon stimulates the breakdown of glycogen to glucose, and thus the normal sugar level is maintained. So there's a feedback thing happening. So if blood sugar is more, then you need someone who could make it down. If blood sugar is less, you need someone else to make it up also. This is a feedback thing happening over here. If our body was not able to identify it, then obviously things would not have been working this smooth. So this is a 2-marker question, a very important question that have come in boards and could come again in different language. Yeah, I mean different framework. So that's a 3-marker question. Some plants like pea plants have tendrils which help them to climb up other plants. Explain how it is done. Name the plant hormone responsible for this movement. Same. The plant hormone responsible for this movement is also auxin, and the same thing happens over here. So just imagine this is a tip of the tendril, and over here you have the support. The auxin is uniformly distributed over here. When it touches this particular area, what happens is that the auxin which is there, it would be moving towards this side. So you have more auxin towards this side now. And when there is too much amount of auxin towards this side, what will happen? It would be leading to cell elongation on the one side. Okay, and the other side will be having smaller cells. So this is an uneven growth that you see over here, and this will make the plant to coil around the tendril, support as well. So on the side of the support, instead of sun, you have to replace it with the support. So on the side of support, the auxins would be moving to the other side where the support is not there. Okay. So tendrils are sensitive to touch. When they come in contact with any support, the part of the tendril in contact with the object does not grow as rapidly as the part of the tendril away from the object. This causes the tendril to circle around the object and thus cling on it. Auxin is the hormone that promotes the growth of the tendril around the support as it synthesized in the tip of the shoot and stimulates the growth of the cells on the opposite side, which causes coiling of the tendril around the support. Just like how I explained, but you can make this diagram and also explain it in your own words. Rather than having a big, complicated stuff, you can explain in your own words. Say that auxin is distributed equally, okay, at the tip of the shoot, and now when it comes in contact with the support, the auxin hormones would be moving to the other side where the support is not there. And there it will be causing unequal cell elongation, and because of this unequal cell elongation, the tendrils would coil around the support. That's all. So write in 3 points and make it end. Cool. This is the 8th question. 9th question. Squirrel in a scary situation. Its body has to prepare for either fighting or running away. State the immediate changes that takes place in the body so that the squirrel is able to either run or fight. So flight or flight situation, what is being produced over here? Adrenaline or noradrenaline. Adrenaline, epinephrine. Adrenaline and epinephrine is the same thing, or noradrenaline and norepinephrine is the same thing. So squirrel in a scary situation is going to produce that. So it is known as fight or flight hormone. So either you fight or you basically run away. So what are the immediate changes that could be required, that would be changing up over here? Increased heart rate would be there, vasoconstriction, vasodilation will be there, dilation of the pupil will be there. So all other things, okay. Adrenaline hormone will be secreted in the body as the squirrel is in the scary situation, speeding up the heartbeat, rise in the blood pressure, release of more glucose in the blood. So these are the things that would be taking place. This we have already discussed, right? So I don't think this is a confusion, but this is how the different type of questions are being framed. And I just wanted you to understand that. Cool. So this is how the questions can be framed. It can be a direct question, sometimes it won't be a direct question. But I always want you to remember adrenaline and epinephrine basically means the same thing. And noradrenaline and norepinephrine means the same thing. Works? Chalo, next. 10th. Trace the sequence of events which occur when a bright light is focused on your eyes. When a bright light is focused on your eyes, what happens, student? What is the sequence of events that will happen? Receptors. What receptors? In our eyes, we have photoreceptors that get active. These photoreceptors would be sending the signal via a sensory neuron. To where? To where? Basically, your spinal cord. Inside the spinal cord, what do you have? You have relay neuron. And then what happens? This relay neuron will be sending signal to what? Motor neuron. And now this motor neuron would be sending signals to the muscles of the eye. And hence we would be closing our eyes. This is how it has to be written. So sensory neuron goes to the brain, CNS, brain, CNS, basically spinal cord also, motor neuron, eye muscles, pupil contracts, eyelids close, or basically whatever is there. Okay, so these 3 responses can be given out. Pupil, it will be contracted so that no much amount of light could get in. Eyelids basically close, okay, and you will basically blink. So this is the thing. So when bright light is focused on our eyes, the photoreceptors generate electrical impulses and pass it to the sensory neurons. They carry the stimuli to the spinal cord, which transports the message to the brain. The brain sends a response to the muscles of the eyelids to close by contracting the pupil. So this is the thing that you can write. Okay, since photoreceptors are in direct contact with the brain, it becomes a lot more easier, which is why brain is also being involved over here. Don't think that, hey, brain is involved, so then how? But over here, you see spinal cord is also involved, so do not be worried about that. Easy. Now, we have one more question, and this is a 5-marker question. This is the last question that we have for the day. What is hydrotropism? Design an experiment to demonstrate the phenomenon. So, hydrotropism is basically, okay, it is the movement of the plant part. It is what? The movement of the plant part in response to water stimuli. Okay, so how do you demonstrate this experiment? You can demonstrate it by put dry soil. In the dry soil, put a clay pot that contains what, children? That contains water. Okay, now put your plant and then show that the roots basically are growing towards that side, because the water from the clay pot is going to seep out and be here. So basically the roots are going towards the water source. That means it is showing what? Positive hydrotropism. Okay, so what is hydrotropism? It is a movement of plant part in response to water stimuli. Design an experiment to demonstrate this phenomena. This is how you can demonstrate it. Okay, so this is the picture, same picture. This is how you can write it. Hydrotropism is a movement of plant towards or away. Okay, basically, did I write in response? I just wrote in response, so it can be towards or basically away. So this is towards, that means it is positive hydrotropism. If it is away, then it is negative hydrotropism. So when it is when the roots are present in waterlogged areas, at that point of time the roots try to move away, because diffusion of gases does not take place in them. So that is a very important thing. Okay. Now, hydrotropism is the movement of plant towards or away from the water. Example, plant root bend towards the source of water. Experiment to demonstrate hydrotropism. Requirements is what? Bean seeds, a deep tray, sand, water, and a porous what? Flower pot. Fill in the tray big enough to accommodate porous pot with sand and insert some seeds in it. Make a pit in the sand and place the porous pot which has water in it. Okay, then fill water in the porous pot, leave the arrangement for about a week. Observation is that after a week, when seeds are taken out, it is observed that roots grow in the direction of the porous pot. This shows hydrotropism in root. And what type of hydrotropism, my dear children? To be specific, positive hydrotropism. Now that is a very famous question, so please have a practice on that. And if you want to have more practice of the questions, please attend the mock test that was given yesterday on Sunday. And now, if you're someone, as I said, I would be discussing it about DSAT. If you're someone who is confused about what you should be doing after 10th, then here we have Disha Scholastic Aptitude Test, where there's a 60 minutes concept-based lecture. After that, there will be an aptitude test. Okay, and depending on the marks of the aptitude test, there will be one-on-one counseling with the counselor, and the counselor would be suggesting you the best course that would be good for you. So if you're someone who is interested, you can find the link in the description box. Cool? And if you liked the video, do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Also, please try solving all the questions that we are giving in the mock test. It's really important. You could find tricky questions also. You will be finding answers also. Do not miss even a single class. So that's all, my dear children. Bye-bye. Take care.